Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. Welcome to day 2 of Bricktober, and today we are taking a look at the G.I.Joe Classified series, Python Patrol Cobra Vypra. But Mac, you ask, what does G.I.Joe have to do with Halloween? Well, she works in the shadows, she's dressed up like a python, she wears a mask. Am I stretching the criteria of what suits a Halloween video? 100% I am, but it's my show, and I want to take a look at Vypra. Now, she just came in today, like she just got dropped off on the porch this morning. And the reason I want to take a look at her is because, one, this is the first version of this figure, of this character that I've ever had. Two, I'm pretty sure this is the first time she's been part of Python Patrol. And three, I have a feeling I'm going to be a little disappointed in it. But I do love me some ninja, so I'm going to be opening this one up. Her and Copperhead, when he comes, will probably be the 2 Python Patrol figures that I open. So here on the front, we can see she is there in the night. Big full moon up top. Love the look of her. I do really like this mask that she has. Here we have the image of her accessories. G.I. Joe logo, Python Patrol logo. Up top, G.I. Joe. On the side, we have that same piece of art that's on the front of the box. On this side, we have the barcode and number 88. On the back here, we have a shot of everything that she comes with. Her shoulder pads, the figure itself, probably a little brighter than what she looks on the front, and all of her accessories. And we've seen pretty much everything that's in here already. This, with the exception of the mask, I feel is 100% reuse. But we will find that out when we take a look at her. So without further ado, let's open her up and take a look at Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Python Patrol Cobra Vypra. Oh yeah, and this is a Target exclusive. Python Patrol, obviously. Okay, here she is, Vypra, out of the box, and putting the tape measure to her, we can see that she is 5 3/4 inches tall to the top of her head. So before we look at anything else, let's just address the elephant in the room, and that is that Pythra here is pretty much complete reuse of the Blue Ninja, the Cobra Blue Ninja, and the Cobra Blue Ninja, of course, is complete reuse of Akiko from the Snake Eyes movie. So Hasbro is getting their money's worth out of this body mold. I just wish it was a better body mold. Now, there are a few differences between her and these two. First of all, if we look at Akiko here, she has, for some reason, combat high heels, whereas Vypra has the flat tabby of the Cobra Blue Ninja. Now, something else that Vypra has that are completely new is that I saw these shoulder pads here, and I thought that was just an accessory that was added onto the figure just to make her stand out, give her a little bit of a differentiation between the other two. But these arms are completely new, that she has double-jointed elbows, and these are a very welcome addition to this body. Like, it almost makes the rest of it not horrible, but also, just like we've had issues with before, the legs are very, very gummy, especially below the knee. And I don't know if that's because this mold is old already and it needs it needs to be retired already, but I feel like the mold was out of date even when we were taking a look at Akiko here. Her black is very much a shiny black, so it like almost has like, you know, that satiny silk look to it. Much more reflective and much more shiny than the original figure here. But I do kind of dig the paint job that they gave her. I visually, this is more striking than I was expecting it to be. It's not nearly as bright as I was expecting it to be from the picture that was on the back of the box. This is a more muted crimson and muted yellows than what I was expecting. I really thought she was like going to like be even standing out from my background here. But as we can see, the mold, other than the arms, is reuse from the Blue Ninja and from Akiko here. But they also did some really good stuff to it. Like I said, the black is shiny. I like this crimson more than the stark white. And this little bit of Python pattern here is really the only thing that screams Python Patrol. Well, that and the symbol that they put on her shoulder armor right here. but I do like the look of it. I like what they've done with her. This is really not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Still not thrilled that this is the body that they used for her, especially considering this is the first time we're getting her in the classified line. Also makes me wonder if they're just going to release an all-black version of this for a nod to her vintage figure. Something else that I thought was very interesting is that you pop her head off, and sometimes the movie figures had different sized ball joints that they didn't match up with the other figures, but this does. And so if you have Akiko, you can use that for an unmasked Vypra head. And truthfully, I think that looks pretty good. Honestly, I kind of dig that. I think it looks good on her. And I may be using that for display as like her unmasked. So another reason that I'm a little upset that they reused this body, and I'm not saying this is going to happen this time, but in the original line, in the vintage line anyway, Vypra was basically a repaint of Jinx. It was the Jinx figure just painted black. And I'm really hoping, because we know Jinx is coming out, it was she was one of the announced figures, I'm really hoping it's not just going to be this with a red paint deco on it. That I really, really hope they're not going to give us a fourth figure with this body mold, even if it has the newer arms. I'm hoping that Jinx is going to be unique and have her own design and stand out from this. Now, something else that we have is that in the Blue Ninja here, they whited out her eyes. Don't know why. They just did that. They did that with the Red Ninja, and they did that with the Blue Ninja. With Vypra here, you can tell that they kind of tried to give her eyes, but they don't look right. There's just something really funky going on with those. Like, it's hard to tell pupils, and they almost look golden and almost look slitted, like python eyes, like snake eyes. So I don't know, like the eyes are just a little weird to me. That's all. So looking at the body mold, like we said, this is basically reuse of the Blue Ninja and Akiko from top to bottom, but we do have these new arms, and with these new arms come new hands. You can see there's texturing on the gauntlets. I like the yellow stripes that break them up. And we have half gloves for the fingers. The hands, like I said, are new as well. And we also have these shoulder pads right in here, this shoulder armor that has the Python Patrol logo on it right here. Now, looking at articulation, this has everything that we've come to expect from this body, that the head will do a full 360. The head can look up very well. The head can look down very well. The head has some decent side-to-side tilt. The arms will do a full 360 right there. They have a butterfly joint, but the armor pauldron right here really hinders it. Also, the armor hinders it from coming up. That's as far up as her arms will go. That is unfortunate. She has a bicep swivel. As you saw, she has the double-jointed elbows with some really good travel. Wrists pivot. This one hinges in and out, while this one hinges up and down. As we've seen before, there is an ab cut right here that she can do a full 360. She can crank back a little. She can lean forward. She has some side-to-side rocker. There's nothing at the waist. She has the drop-down legs that will come up to there, but if you turn them, we can get them up higher right there. Legs will go back, drop down, legs will come out to the side. Real good for a ninja. They have the thigh cut right in there. Double jointed knees with some really good travel, but like I said, these are very gummy. Boot cut, ankles rock back, ankles rock forward, and we have a forward facing pin for some rocker. Alright, so looking at Vypra's accessories here, the first thing we're going to take a look at is this mask, this skull mask, and this is not nearly as stark white as I was expecting it to be, and I like that. I like that it has this gray, and it has the white teeth along the bottom. I also really like the blacked out lenses right there. I don't know if you can see them, but they are very much like segmented, almost like an insect eye, but it does look like that these could be something like infravision, night vision, something like that, piece of tech added to this archaic looking mask right here. And I do like this because whenever you put it on her, and you just slide it down over the top, you have to line it up a little so that it looks right. Because when it looks right, it looks right. But when it's off, it definitely looks off. And I put the strap sort of in line with the crimson headband so that it has the same formation the whole way around. That I do like the look of this mask. I like that it gives her a little bit more, just a little bit more to differentiate her from the other figures that share this buck. And I'm really noticing now just how skinny her neck is. But I do think this helps to add something to the figure. And I'll probably be displaying her with this on all the time. So we have that skull mask right there. All right, stand up, Vypra. And then in addition to that, we also have her backpack full of accessories, in which case we have her two swords, her straight swords, the long and the short, and they fit into the sheaths as part of her backpack. We have her compound bow right here that is very gummy, very bendy. And then we have the backpack with her quiver and the Arashikage logo on it that we'll talk about in a second. And then all of these feathers, all of these arrows rather, are sculpted in, except this lone one right here pulls out to be used as a prop arrow. And you can see there's a little slot in there to slide the arrow down in for keeping. So like all of the G.I. Joe classified figures, she can carry all of her gear on her, which I always love. Now here's my issue with this. This is the same thing that came with Storm Shadow, and it has the Arashikage logo on it. And first of all, I don't like that they're putting this logo on pretty much everything that has to do with Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. But especially in this instance, not every ninja that comes out is going to be part of the Arashikage clan. So you don't need to put this symbol on everything to fit up with every ninja that comes out. For example, I was reading her file card before I did this video. There's nothing that even really states she's actually a ninja. She's kind of like the anti-Scarlet, like she's a mercenary that's involved in espionage. She acted as a go-between Cobra Commander and the leader of the Night Creepers. This bothers me that they're putting this on everything. Now, like I said, this is all replica of Storm Shadow's gear. So you could even mix and match if you wanted to. And it's actually something that I'm thinking of doing because in the comics, Storm Shadow had like these signature broadheads that like this arrow is completely black. Nothing really looks special. Nothing stands out from it. But what I like about the Vypra arrows or the Vypra arrow is that it has this silver broadhead on there and the golden fletching in the feathers that I feel like this is a more specialized look for this arrow that I might actually swap and use the backpack arrow set for Storm Shadow. We'll see what that looks like in a second. But you see the bow just fits onto that peg, and then this all pegs into her back. Now you have to be careful because the first time I tried to do this, this peg is actually very rubbery, very bendy. A lot of this figure is rubbery. So you have to be careful or else while you're pegging this into her back, it could start to bend. Whoop. But there you go. It all fits in. Kind of looks a little big on her because of how small she is as a figure. But she can carry all of her gear on her. And she stands up. Whoop, get the case out of there. She stands up fairly well on her own with all that weight on her back as well. You can see I'm not even leaning her back. She just balances really well with her gear on her. So originally my plan was to just blow over the accessories, the weapons here, because we've seen most of them already, but there are a few things that I wanted to mention. One, I feel like the snake-headed swords, the snake-headed ninjakin, work better for Vypra as part of the Python Patrol than they do for Storm Shadow. I'm not really down with these for Storm Shadow. I wish they would have just given him the standard hilts for his swords. Also, the drawstring on the compound bow doesn't really pull back, but we've seen that before. So when you pose Vypra with the arrow out, she can get into the pose, which you'll see in the photos at the end of the video, but you're not really going to get a draw on the string. And for as many times as we've seen this bow already, and this is just molded in, you know, solid crimson. There's no paint apps on it like Storm Shadows has the handle painted. But for as many times as we've seen this bow, it took me now to figure out there's a knock right here that you can set the arrow in, and it helps to hold the arrow in place when you're posing the figure. I feel like I should have figured that out a long time ago, but hey, better late than never. So just to see how she looks, here she is with her own bow, and you can see she has her own swords with the crimson handles right there. But I did replace it with Storm Shadow's black backpack, and I'm going to say it, I think this looks pretty cool. But you also get this with Storm Shadow, where he has the silver backpack, the gold logo, the gold fletchings, and to me, more importantly, that silver broadhead, making it look like his signature arrows. I don't know. I might do an accessory swap, and this might be how I display them from this point forward. And now for size comparison, here she is beside Hasbro G.I.Joe Classified Series Akiko and the female blue ninja. Here she is beside Hasbro G.I.Joe Classified Series Baroness and Scarlet. Here she is beside more Classified Series Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. Here she is beside Hasbro Marvel Legends Black Widow movie Black Widow and Psylocke from, I think that was the Nimrod 3-pack that I got her from. Here she is beside DC Direct Cheetah and McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batgirl from Art of the Crime. Here she is beside Lanyard Toys City Hunter Predator and Xenomorph Drone. And as always, finally, here they are with NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons, Warduke, and Grim Sword. So while I'm not overly thrilled that they're using this buck again, I do think that the double-jointed arms, the new arms, do a lot to add some newness to this figure. Also, for the Python Patrol paint job, which is usually typically a little gaudy, a little ugly, on her, they really made it work with those dark colors and just a touch of that yellow piping on her shoulder pieces and on her wrist gauntlets. That, for her, it really works, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to pull her out of the package instead of leaving her boxed up like I do most of my Python Patrol figures. She's unique, it looks good on her, and I think she would look good even if she wasn't part of the Python Patrol, and this was just her natural look. I think that Skull Mask also does a lot to give her a bit of a unique look, a unique flavor, above and beyond even Akiko, who has, you know, the open face. And I think, for as weird as I think the eyes are on her, the paint app on the eyes, the more I was playing with her, the more I think those bizarre-looking eyes do a lot to add some personality to her that, once again, the Blue Ninja and Akiko are both missing. So, while I'm not thrilled, about the buck, I'm actually enjoying this figure a lot more than I thought I was going to. The gummy legs also are something that I'm a little about. I don't know if that will be an issue in the long run, but I don't like that they just bend so easily back and forth at the knee. The articulation on her, just like with the other two, is very fluid, very easy, very intuitive with the way that everything folds and bends and articulates, that you can do some really good stuff with her. I really do think those double-jointed arms do a lot, though, to help with the quality of this figure. So much to the point that now I wish we could go back in time and set the female blue ninjas up with those double-jointed arms. I think that would have helped add a lot more value to that 2-pack that we got. I do think I'm going to end up swapping her backpack and Storm Shadow's backpack, because I think the all black and crimson from the Storm Shadow pack blends better with her paint apps than the gray backpack with the silver arrows, the silver arrow tip, and the golden fletchings. It's almost like they did that on purpose, that those two were meant to swap packs. She doesn't need the Arashikage logo on her, though. All of the ninja don't need to have Arashikage logos on them. Just saying. But I can get past that. That's just a minor nitpick from me. So I think she is going to fit in well with like the rest of my ninja figures, because in case you haven't noticed, Mac likes ninjas. And I don't pretend to be a ninja historian. Mac likes the fantasy ninjas, you know, from D&D and from comic books of the 80s and 90s. I don't even claim to know what was really going down with ninja in feudal Japan. I just like the fantasy of them. Thank you for letting me slip this into Bricktober. Like I said, it just came in the mail. I wanted to get her open. I wanted to take a look at her. I definitely have more Halloween-themed items for you throughout the month. So until next time, my friends, happy Halloween. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.